कार्यमित्येव यत् कर्म नियतं क्रियते अर्जुन संगम त्यक्त्वा फलं चैव स त्यागः सात्विको मतः. Hello friends, this is the 9th Shloka of the 18th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, and today we will understand this Shloka in detail. So let's first go over its meaning. So the Shloka says, Karyamityeva yat karma, which means work done for the sake of doing. Niyatam kriyate Arjuna, which means done as obligation, O Arjun. Sangam tyakatva phalam chaiva, which means by giving up the attachment and also the fruit. Satyah satviko matah, which means that renunciation is considered sattvic. So over here in this shlok, Shri Krishna is now describing the renunciation in the mode of sattva, and what he says is that when the work is done for the sake of doing and is done as an obligation, when the work is done by giving up the attachment and also the fruits of that action, then such a renunciation is sattvic. So this is a very important message that Shri Krishna is providing over here, and if we can understand the significance of this statement, then basically our life will become very, very simple. The problem with all of us is that we are very confused in terms of how to live our life and what is our aim in life. And this basically happens because of the attachment that we put, or the attraction towards the world. Since we are attracted towards the world, what happens is that we move towards a certain thing. We look at this world and we say, oh wow, this is so good, oh wow, that is so good, oh this is not very good, that is not very good. So we basically form some sort of a conceptualization. We create a conceptualization and we create a concept about the world which is incorrect, because we are confused. We don't have perfect knowledge, and this perfect knowledge is not attained because we are fascinated by this world, and so that confuses us. And so what happens is that we form a concept and then we say, okay, the world should be like this or the world should be like that, and in this manner we basically forget our true nature. What is our true nature? What is my personality, and what is my destiny? That we are not able to get. We are not able to understand it. Why? Because we are confused by this world. The world is attracting us and we are forming concepts regarding the world. And so a person looks at this world and he says that, okay, I want to be like this, or I want to be like that, and I don't want to be like this, and I don't want to be like that. So because of that conceptualization and this aversion and attraction, we get confused and we are not able to understand what our destiny is. And as we have understood in the previous few shloks, that it is the destiny which actually determines what we should be doing. And so many times what happens is that we start to avoid our destiny. So as an example, somebody might get very fascinated by some movie that he saw regarding Air Force, say for example, and so he will basically just get fascinated by Air Force and say, oh, I want to be an Air Force pilot. Now because of that fascination, he will then start to act in that manner, do those things and get attached to it. Oh, I want to be like a fighter pilot, so I want to be like this, I want to be like this, I want to be like this. Now maybe he doesn't really have the aptitude to be a fighter pilot, but still he wants to be a fighter pilot. He shows interest in aeroplanes and things like that. Maybe his real talent lies in, say, selling something. I mean, he's maybe a very good salesman, but salesman is not very glamorous, so he's not really attracted towards the salesman thing, and he's more attracted towards fighter pilot. And so although he is trying to be a fighter pilot, but his destiny is to be a salesperson. So this attachment that he has developed to this fighter pilot thing, and that this attachment that he has, that oh, I'll fly the plane and I will enjoy flying the fighter plane and be like the hero of Top Gun movie or some movie, So that confusion basically is creating all the problem for him. Then he tries to be a fighter pilot and he fails to become a fighter pilot because he fails the test, because he doesn't have the aptitude to be a fighter pilot. He has the aptitude to be a salesman, but salesman he doesn't want to become because salesman is not glamorous. Fighter pilot is more glamorous. So this is what is causing problem for that person. So this is just an example, but this is how things happen for all of us. All of us want to do something when we realize that we are not able to do it because we don't have the aptitude. Somebody wants to be a businessman. Oh, I want to start my business. I don't want to be a servant to someone else. Maybe he doesn't have the aptitude to be a businessman. Maybe he's born in a situation where he cannot be a businessman. His financial situation is not like that he can be a businessman. But no, I want to be a businessman. And if I'm not a businessman, then I'm sad. I'm not happy. I want to be a fighter pilot. If I cannot be a fighter pilot, then I'm sad. I'm not happy. So this all happens because of fascination, because of attachment, and because of the desire to consume the fruit. Now if a person is removing this attachment to a certain thing, if he becomes equipoised in his life, if he gives up all the fruits of the action that he's doing, then he will develop that calm mind where he'll be able to see the truth. He'll be able to see that, okay, my tendency is towards that. He will realize that, fighter pilot probably is not the path that is good for me. Maybe it is the salesmanship which is good. And so if a person performs the sacrifice like this, if he sacrifices his attachment to the fighter pilot, he says that, I give up this fighter pilot. Maybe it's not in my destiny to be a fighter pilot, and no, my destiny is to be a salesman. And then he basically becomes a salesman, and becomes a salesman because he says that, okay, my destiny is to be a salesman. And then he becomes a salesman as an obligation, and he is not really attached to it. He says that, okay, I'm not a salesman, I'm not really actively trying to be a salesman. The Lord wants me to be a salesman, so therefore I'm a salesman, and whatever fruits I will get from being a salesman, I will dedicate it to the Lord, not for myself. That sort of a sacrifice is the real sacrifice. That is what is renunciation. Renunciation means to give up all these fascinations, all these crap that we have created in our mind through fascination with the world, through attachment with the world, and becoming situated in our real nature. If my real nature is to be a salesman, then I'll be a salesman. I'll not be very fascinated by being a fighter pilot. Just because fighter pilot is more glamorous, I'll not be fascinated by that. I'll give up that. I will renounce that desire for me to be a fighter pilot and impress everyone, to show that you see, I fly this plane and I use missiles and I bomb this and I bomb that. I give up all of that desire to show people that thing, or to puff up my ego, and I will accept my destiny, that my talent lies in selling things, so I'll be a salesman. So that kind of an attitude. You don't have to give up your property, you don't have to give up your family. That is not what you have to do. You don't have to give that up. You have to become one with your destiny and say, okay, this is my destiny and I will do this. That is what is true renunciation. So that was the message of this shlok. I hope that I have explained this shlok well to you. With that, I'll close this video. I'll see you in the next video. Take care.